Hello, Emma.
Hi.
I'm Christopher. I'm here to do the audit of the mailroom. Hopefully, you're being expecting me.
Yes, of course.
Right, is now a good time to do it?
Yes, of course.
Great. Okay, then, Emma. Thank you very much for taking the time to see me today. Appreciate it. I'm going to talk to you about the audit today and in the post room mainly. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the audit and the effectiveness of what we do here. But specifically, there's three key areas of which I want to target here. Now, focus on the security aspects of the postage room. How many you recorded mail that comes in, specifically for individuals. How about how you sort things, distribute the mail to people within the business. I know a lot of other work goes on here, trust me, but we're actually mainly focusing on these three key areas in accordance with what we want to focus on in the plan. So, following on the outcomes, I may raise non-conformities if you're not doing things in accordance with the processes and established routines. However, I will identify them if I find any to allow you to clarify the situation a bit more because you know the process better than me. All right. So you'll be able to bring some extra information to the table. Now, we're always looking for opportunities for improvement too. There are potential non-conformities, but based upon my experience of auditing, these opportunities for improvement can actually potentially lead to a non-conformity. So, firstly, could you talk to me about the process and how it works? So, first of all, if you can tell me a little bit more about your responsibilities, what your authorities are relating to the job here.
Right, okay, well, I'm the mailroom administrator,
Mhm.
so I manage all the mail that gets delivered here and distributed out. So I've written up a process on how I go about doing that. I can talk you through it.
Oh, yeah, please do. It's not a memory test, so refer to it. It's fine.
Okay, thank you. So there's a loading depot where we get our mail delivered. That's at the back of the building. There's a bell that they have to ring to let us know it's there and to
Mm.
go back to the office.
Okay, so if it goes off, we will find the mail there.
So I look out the window and they show me their ID badge, as we have to do security checks to make sure they are who they say they are. Once I'm confident with that, I open the door and bring in the mail.
Mm.
It normally comes in sacks. We also have to do recorded delivery, so we have to sign for it to say that we've received it. So once that's done, I bring in the mail, shut the door, and bring it into this room here.
Okay, excellent. There's a couple of things I want to ask you about actually. Have you got any objectives or targets relating to the mailroom? Is there anything that you're measured against, for example?
Yes, so all mail has to be distributed to our departments by 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay, good.
So going back, once the mail has been taken into this room, I log in the recorded delivery to say what time it's arrived.
Okay.
I've got a copy of that if you'd like to see it.
Oh, we'll have a look at that shortly, when we examine the process itself.
Okay. Then I divide the mail into departments
Hmm.
and in the order of the layout of the building. That's just so when I deliver it, I'm not walking up and down stairs.
So you've got a set routine throughout the business. Okay.
Yes, same route. So it's the layout of the building. I do the mail first and then the internal and recorded mail afterwards.
Hmm.
I'm just mentioning this just to make sure I explain the right process. So once that's done, then I have to record where it's all been distributed to.
Hmm.
That's another log that we have to fill out when all the mail's been distributed.
Okay, so you've got a couple of logs in there. That's good. We'll probably come back to those as well when we dive into the process a bit deeper.
We do have internal mail
Hmm.
that's on another desk. So
Oh,
just to make sure we don't mix anything up.
okay, that's brilliant, actually. We'll actually come back to the objectives and how they look and how well you're doing against those. But just before we move on, are there any known issues or have you had any previous non-conformities with the area and or in other audits?
From memory, we have had a few instances where mail hasn't been distributed on time. But like I said, we have to distribute all of the mail by 11 a.m. And there have been occasions when we haven't met this time.
Okay, so are those non-conformities still open, closed? I mean, what's the status with them?
Well, we are focusing on the areas that the complaints were made to make sure their mail gets sent out first. So sometimes we have to change the route to do this. And also, there has been occasions when mail has been lost. Not lost by us, it's just the mail has been sent out and hasn't gone to the right individual.
Okay, we'll probably get back to those a little bit later on during the audit, but we'll focus on the key areas first. But thank you for that. Okay, Emma, thanks for that. Describing the process of what you do, your responsibilities, the inputs into the process, and how you actually do your job. And also talking about your objectives. What I want to do now is actually test the process out. I'm going to pose you a few questions. Don't worry, it's not a memory test. I'm not testing you, I'm testing out the process, the effectiveness of it, of what you do. We're going to focus on security first. So I'll just ask you a few questions in relation to that, dealing with security mainly in the building. If someone came to the back door, what would you do, if any, if they didn't have the correct identification?
Okay, so if they can't show identification, then I don't open the door. I tell them to go to the front of the building, to the reception.
Okay. And how do you let reception know that somebody's on the way there?
Well, after I've told the person to go to the reception, that gives me time to call reception and let them know that someone's coming around with mail.
Oh,
So I give them a brief description of what they look like, what vehicle they drive, just so they know who to expect.
why do you think it's important to let reception know what they look like and who they are?
Well, if I haven't felt comfortable to open the door, I'm putting them at risk. So I need to make them aware that I haven't let someone in and that they need to ask additional security questions.
So, what about the security threat to yourself? How do you manage that, especially if you're feeling threatened?
I wouldn't say there's been many instances. There was one time that I didn't feel comfortable opening the door, so I contacted my facilities manager and they supported me through that.
Okay. And what did they do once you advised them of that? What measures did were put into place, if any?
Well, if you don't feel secure opening the door, you contact your facilities manager and they take control.
Okay. Well, thank you, Emma. I appreciate you talking me through the security protocols through the post room. Now, I didn't want to go too deep into things, Obviously, I didn't want to make it a specific security audit. We're also looking at the mail room and the associated controls you've got into place. There weren't any issues there. I think we're quite happy with the process. It's actually deemed to be effective. So I actually want to now move on to the recorded delivery. That seems to be quite an important part of the process here in the mailroom. Thanks for the information you gave me earlier, by the way. Can we just go through that information once again? Of how you manage recorded delivery mail that comes in, that must be signed for, recorded, distributed in a controlled manner.
Okay, like I said, I sign it and put it on my desk and log it on the log sheet here.
Oh, is that an example of what you actually do?
Yes, would you like to have a look?
Yes, I will, thank you. It seems quite comprehensive. Where has this come from?
So I created it myself. It was just too much to remember, so I just wanted to make sure that I was following the right process.
Well, looking at it, and from what you've said about how the process works, it seems you follow the process in a logical manner. So you obviously developed this. Has it been controlled through the management system, or has anybody given you guidance about how to develop this?
I don't think so. I developed it myself as a way to properly complete all the tasks that were expected of me.
Ah, right. Okay. It's actually a requirement that you control the various documents in the management system itself. Therefore, this unfortunately is considered a non-conformity. It's going to raise a non-conformance relating to the control of this document. It seems really effective and it's really well put together. However, it does need to be controlled within the management system itself. It's no fault of your own. I'm just here to assess the process and the management system. Are you happy with that?
I guess if I raise it with my manager, then
Well, yes, it will be in the final report. I'll raise it as a non-conformity in the actual report itself. Okay, so looking from the information that you have here, it looks like you've had 10 pieces of recorded delivery. Because this audit is based on sampling, I'm going to take a few samples, as it were, just to get a representative feel of how effective everything is. Unfortunately, we can't look at everything, otherwise I'll be here all day. I don't think you'd like that too much. So, when were these from? These particular recorded deliveries?
well, these are from the log we started in July. When we get to the end of this, we start a new one.
I see. Okay, so you've had quite a few there. What I'll do is, like I say, take a sample of some of these, and then we can talk about them in a bit more detail. Looking at the form, you've got the date, the time, and when would you record the time?
So the time we record is the time that we receive the mail into the business.
I see. Okay, good. And this information, what does that relate to?
So this is who it's from,
Huh?
and this is who it's for.
Hmm.
So it might be a person or business, and then this is who it's for inside our organisation,
Okay.
and then this is where I sign for it here.
And so, what is the purpose of signing for it?
Oh, right, so that means that we've signed for it to confirm that it's been delivered.
I see. And what are the reasons why some of these areas on here actually haven't been signed from? Why isn't it being filled in? Is there a particular reason for that?
Oh, right, so it means it's identical to the line above. So same date, time, and signature.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can see here there's one, two, and three signatures missing from here. Why is that?
That could be because I've been distracted or busy and just forgot to sign it. I can do it now.
Oh, no. It's fine. It's fine. Obviously, it's good that you've identified that it hasn't been filled out. But what I need to do is raise another non-conformity. It's unfortunate, but it's defining your process that you actually need to have recorded all the information and then signed for it. We're not quite following the process here. So rather than going for a quick fix now and just filling out the form, and not forgetting about it in future, we need to raise a non-conformity. The department will have to then investigate why this is the case and then put some corrective action in place to prevent it from reoccurring again in future. So I'll raise that as another non-conformity.
And do you have any ideas or guidelines as to how to improve on this?
Um, well, I can't give specific advice or guidelines on fixing things. That's the responsibility of the department to do the full investigation into identifying the root cause and putting some corrective action in place to make sure it doesn't happen again in future. It will be very unfair of me to, and I'm not allowed to give any advice on the solutions might be. That's down to mainly you because you know the process better than me. And I'm just here, like I say, doing the audit. So, going back to the recorded mail and recording the time that it comes into the business, can you show me where you documented that against the objective of it being distributed by 11 o'clock?
Yes, I can. This record here shows you
Hmm.
where all the mail has been recorded that comes into the business.
And can you remind me of what the objective is again, relating to recorded delivery?
We have to get them out by 11 o'clock, so all the mail has to be distributed before then.
I'm just looking at the log here. We've got two examples whereby you've signed for it, distributed it past 11 o'clock. We have one for 11:30. The other one was at 12 o'clock. Can you explain that to me?
Well, we don't have control as to when it gets delivered here, so if it's delivered late, it puts a delay on us getting it out by 11. And also, if it's due to sickness or holidays or being understaffed,
Mhm.
it can cause delays.
And how often does that happen?
I wouldn't say it's too often. As you can see here, there's only been 2 instances. We try to manage it the best we can.
Mhm. Again, looking at this, you have an objective of getting the mail out by a specific time, and looking at the samples here, you have two incidences whereby it's gone past the target of distribution. I mean, this is unfortunately means you're not fulfilling the requirement, and it would be considered a non-conformity. I'll raise another non-conformity relating to not achieving the objectives set within the business. Okay, well, thank you, Emma. We are now finished with the recorded delivery side of the process, and I've raised three non-conformities. Thank you for going through that process with us. Just before we move on, are there any areas which you think that we need to improve here in the mailroom?
Actually, yes, there is. We get many of these mail sacks in every day.
Mhm.
Every day we get about 15, and they just get thrown in the bin. And then that just doesn't sit right with me.
Mm.
I'd like it if we had some form of recycling or reusing of the sacks. The business doesn't really have any form of waste management.
Mm.
I have highlighted this, but they haven't seemed to take any action. So could you possibly highlight it and put it in your report, and hopefully they'll take action on this?
Yeah, obviously, what we'll need to do though is be careful on the scope of the audit. And what we're looking at today is looking at the effectiveness of the mailroom process and not necessarily an environmental audit, but I'll raise an opportunity for improvement that you may wish to reconsider the methods of recycling the high volume of waste stacks which come into the mailroom. So that's obviously relevant to what you're doing here and relevant to the scope of the audit. Okay, Emma, thanks for spending time with me today and going through the audit of the mailroom processes. Appreciate it. The security protocols are good. We have a good grasp on those processes too. I've raised three actual non-conformities, one around the document control using the uncontrolled procedure, one against the recorded delivery process as received mail was not getting signed for, and one against the objective to get the mail out by 11 a.m. I've also raised an opportunity for improvement around the reuse of the mail stacks. On a whole, though, what you're doing, effective based samples, I've looked at it today, and at three minor non-conformities will go into the report. Then you will have to raise the corrective action against them. We will then review them later on and to make sure it's been effectively closed out.
Okay, so that does that mean we've failed then because we've got three
No,
non-conformities?
no, 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 no. It's not a pass or a fail criteria.
So am I going to get in trouble?
Absolutely not. No, no. As I said during the non-conformities, when I raise them, it's not against you. It's against the process. So don't worry. I mean, like I say, the report will go to your line manager, and you will get a copy of the report itself too. Thanks for your time, though. I really appreciate it.